Professor Marius Leordeanu. He has his PhD from Cameron Melon and senior researcher at NAS and full professor at the Politehnica University of Bucharest. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asia. I'm very happy to be here. So I see this question here. Machines can interpret the same scene in multiple ways. How do we decide which view of reality is the most reliable, and what does that mean for decision making at scale? Well, that's the question from you.
Yeah.
And I will have that in mind. Thank you very much. It's a very nice question. So, well, there are many ways to see the world. We call them in vision sometimes modalities, or different tasks, or interpretation layers. And for us, we can see it from a computer vision point of view. Just two examples. We can see the world from the point of view of its 3D structure. We can see the world from the semantic point of view, what objects are. They also can have different meanings at different levels of granularity or generality. Right? For example, I don't know, one point on this screen, it could be a point of I don't know, some material. It could be also a point of the screen. It could be also a point of my presentation, a point of the room, a point of the event in space and time, a point of the whole Stavanger. It could also be part of the story. So the same point can have many, many different interpretations. And once we think about it, we realize that reality is not just one layer. It's many, many, many layers. Which one is real? Well, they're all interpretations that our mind created in order to survive, in order to move on, and to get a better understanding, more coherent understanding of the world. And in fact, the more interpretations we have, the better. And how do they have to be? They have to be in consensus. There should be some coherence. That's when the mind is set. Then when the world makes sense, when all these interpretations are related and they make sense. What does that mean? What is this consensus and how can we use it? So this is what I would like to talk to you about. So yes, we can have consensus between what happens in the ground. So I will take the advantage of putting this general problem in the context of drones, of flying, of seeing the world in 6 degrees of freedom, let's say. So from a different perspective, not just images from the internet. Because a lot of the computer vision research is a bunch of images from the internet. It's not necessarily space, time, videos, reality. And nowadays we have to move. We have to move towards the physicality, the reality, the robotics, what happens in the world. Because I think I was pushing back a little bit from the real. We should love more the real. Okay, so of course the way things look is related to the way things, to what things are. From how things are, we can predict probably what they do. Looking at some motion, we can predict intention, we can predict what is going to happen. So all these interpretation layers should make sense. We had a paper, we had this idea of how to put all this together and how to try to define consensus. And how can we use consensus as a proxy for truth? Because in reality, we don't know what truth is, to be honest. We don't know what truth is. But consensus, we could maybe measure. And we could use it maybe as a proxy for truth. And then, of course, because this problem of having labeled data, having true labels is very costly, it's very hard. It's one of the biggest problems. And one of the biggest problems in AI is how to learn without this information in an unsupervised way, in a natural way. You know, like a child discovers the world without being told by his parents at every single moment, this is what it is. He's discovering. This is what intelligence should be, right? Not like the supervised learning case. It's more supervised learning. It's actually kind of forced learning. It's not necessarily so natural, right? Because we don't learn supervised. So in this case, I was thinking about this simple. Let's try to formalize it. So we have a graph about the world. The graph has nodes. The nodes are the interpretation layers of the world. I gave a few examples here, surface normals, depth, semantic segmentation, pose. We used in this first paper, we used data from Carla in a simulated environment because it's rich and we can easily access all these interpretation layers, you know. And then we have neural networks. The edges of the graph are neural networks, which predict one layer from the other. And this has been done, of course, but if we create this graph now, we can see that we can go from any layer to any other layer in multiple ways. And if I reach the same layer from a different way, from multiple ways, what is consensus? Well, all these ways should tell me the same thing. So basically, if I start predicting this, let's say this, from this, and I'm here, and then I go this other way, I should get the same depth there. Well, obviously, I'm not going to say to get exactly the same depth, but I would like to. And then I can have all these multiple candidate paths. I could create an ensemble, I could look at its consensus, I could say, are they in agreement or not? Then I can create some kind of an agreement, a better layer, and I'll talk more about consensus a bit later. But I could get this pseudo label as the output of the ensemble, and then I can learn. I can basically relearn and better fine-tune, let's say, all these neural networks. And you can show that if you do that, the consensus will improve. But also, should I, and that's an interesting question, should I, if I have an ensemble, should I consider the output of the ensemble if the candidates are in disagreement or not? And a lot of the work try to learn, is to learn how to take all these candidates and create a better candidate from a set of candidates. But my observation, because we had several papers in which I discovered the same thing. My observation is the following. Sometimes, if there is no consensus, you should not even try to get a better layer. Just throw it away. Don't use that case. It could damage. So weak pseudo labels could do more harm if you use them than if you don't use them at all. So in some sense, be selective. Have this attention at the ensemble. If there is consensus, use it, because it's likely to be correct, right? Accidental alignments are rare. If 10 people say the same thing, probably they are right. But if 10 people say different things, why should you get a better answer from this? Throw it away. Wait for the time when they are in agreement. And I think this is a key thing. And I do not see it so much used in the literature. And I noticed it every time. Every single time when we did experiments with this idea of throwing away ensemble outputs when there is no agreement, worked better. It did improve. So this is a lesson I will remember. Okay, so we showed that this graph can by itself, basically. At every iteration, by bringing new data, it improves. And what I noticed, and this is even better than just looking at numbers, after the consensus is obtained, one thing you notice is striking. It's the consistency in time. Even though I didn't use time, just frames for learning. So there was no concept of that. So if you look here, if you look at from the beginning, so here it is how it was before the unsupervised learning phase. This is after the consensus learning phase, which is unsupervised. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see, I'll play it from the beginning, you'll see that here there is noise. It flickers. And here it's consistent. And there is not so much work that looks carefully at consistency in time. So, oh, I have a state-of-the-art object segmentation. No. And you run it on a video, and you see it flickering. It's like, how can you trust that? Like, what state-of-the-art is that? And just go, right now, please go, take a state-of-the-art model for segmentation and run it on every single frame of your favorite video that you are filming, not from online, because it might have been used already for learning. Who knows what these VLLMs have seen, or these models. So take your phone, take a random video, use the state-of-the-art object segmentation, and look honestly at what it's doing. This is where computer vision is right now. Don't listen to what other people are saying, or what papers are saying. Test it, and you'll see it flickers. So this is a problem that needs to be solved. But consensus solves it. Now let's look again. And let's look carefully. And this is more than numbers, because numbers are important, but it's like with our eyes what we can see. And of course we can measure this consistency, and we actually did. But is what you can see is, okay, semantics of it. This is clear. Look. See? It's so obvious. Okay, good. Okay, so this is also related to a concept in medicine or homeostasis, which my father told me when I was a kid, and it comes back to me as a disequilibrium, this consensus. So yes, there is consensus in the world, there is consensus in many layers, many levels. So we moved on to real world with the data for drones. We collected the largest data set for drones that is segmented and with depth and everything. But not a lot of people published data set with drones, or did a lot of work with drones. And it's from Romania. I also have scenes from Norway. We use one scene from Norway. And we try to do other research with, in the real world. It's lovely to work in the real world. There's a lot to learn. And you also can explore scenes, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, we have other follow-up papers in which we move from graphs to hypergraphs. Also for observing the world from satellite with different layers. So we extended this. The Earth itself, by the way, Holocene period, it's a consensual system of multiple layers. And they have this Holocene period defined like that, in fact. And after the Earth got its equilibrium, we are all happy, and civilizations flourished, and there was very little fluctuation in the temperature. Nowadays, things are changing for the worse, and we have to do something about it. But a lack of equilibrium at that level could cause many problems. We noticed the same type of consistency gaining even when we did this research with Earth layers. Okay, but let's move on. Now this is current work which is under review. We try to say, okay, so the main problem with this approach is that it's very costly, and we do not have the resources to, I don't know, train 200 neural networks, because you end up with 200 neural networks in this graph. So we said, okay, how about we use a single transformer or a single model for this, and we have a model for that. Instead of having many, we show that it can model this hypergraph. And this is creating new layers, intermediate layers. The more layers we add, the better. It says, is it good to do multimodality or not? In fact, multimodality helps you improve this consistency, and it's actually a good idea because it makes this graph tighter. And just a few examples, we added random scenes now from YouTube, from everywhere. We learned unsupervised, completely unsupervised. And just to show you that this consistency over time, and this will be my last slide, this consistency over time is why is this not running? No, it's a pity because it will be very necessary. Oh, you don't have the video. It's a nice video. I'll speak about it. So what you will see here basically is that the state of the art is flickering, exactly what I said, and please test this because this is important. If you look at one image, you say, oh, it works better. Look at the next frame. And here the consensus is bringing consistency. So this is a lesson I'm learning from this. Thank you very much, and I'll be happy to continue the discussion after